गवर्नमेंट ने जो सर्कुलर निकाला था 16 जून 2022 का सर्कुलर नंबर 12 और 2022, उसमें उन्होंने 10 सर्कुलर्स 10 पॉइंट्स उन्होंने कवर किए हैं, जिसके अंदर में ये है कि मतलब टू रिमूव द डिफिकल्टीज। लेकिन अगर हम इसको रियल सेंस में पढ़ें तो इन्होंने डिफिकल्टीज को रिमूव नहीं की है, इन्होंने इसको बढ़ा दिया। लाइक देयर इज अ सिचुएशन वेयर द रिइंबर्समेंट ऑफ टैक्सेस, रिइंबर्समेंट ऑफ एक्सपेंसेस। आज हाउ कैन द रिइंबर्समेंट ऑफ एक्सपेंसेस बाय अ प्रोफेशनल to his clients can be a benefit in the hands of the professionals? There can't be any benefit. दूसरी चीज है कि जो इनिशियली जो सोचा गया था कि जैसे एक बात करते हैं बेनिफिट्स एंड परक्विजिट्स। बेनिफिट्स एंड परक्विजिट्स को भी इनकम टैक्स के अंदर में कहीं पर भी डिफाइन नहीं किया हुआ है। सो अगेन व्हाट कैन बी द बेनिफिट्स एंड परक्विजिट्स डिपेंड्स अपॉन पर्सन टू पर्सन। आज उनकी सोचने की चीज हो गई है। आज मैं किसी दूसरे एंगल से सोचूं, and tax authorities the same transactions that they can think in some different way. So this is one of the very challenge है यहाँ पर इसको implement करने का। There are other implementation issues also है, जिसके अंदर में मैं ये कहूँगा कि implementation of this section 194R is very tough, especially in case of the conferences, in case of the gifts to the customers. आज अगर कोई भी बिजनेस हाउस अगर कोई भी कॉन्फ्रेंस करता है, कोई ऐसी स्कीम्स लाते हैं जो कि उनके बिजनेस के एनहांसमेंट के लिए होती है, ना कि डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट है, we with the business will say that this is for the purpose of the business. The tax authorities must say no, this is not for the purpose of business, but it is a benefit to the customers, to the other dealers and the retailers, whoever are your customers. तो there are several issues है। तो इसके ऊपर में आज हमारे स्पीकर हैं CA Rajesh Mehta ji. He's from Indore, and now without taking much of the time, because he's going to deal into the nitty-gritties of these provisions of the Act, and I will now request my co-convener Vishnukant Agarwal to introduce Rajesh ji, and then we will ask him to deliberate on this. So, thank you, sir.
Welcome, Shri Rajesh Mehta ji. CA Rajesh Mehta is a FCA visa. He is practicing CA since year 1996, and he is practicing at Indore. He is a renowned direct tax speaker across India on issues of TDS and TCS, capital gains, search and seizure, penalty and prosecution, HUF, religious and charitable trust, tax audit, union budget, income computation and disclosure standards, ICDS, etc. at various branches of ICAI, Tax Bar Association, AIFTP, Business and Trade Association, and online platforms. His articles and views on income tax provisions are frequently published in tax newsletters, magazines, and online tax forums. He completed his higher secondary and graduation from Bhilwara, Rajasthan, then moved to Indore for pursuing the Chartered Accountancy course. He is awarded by the then Chief Minister of Rajasthan, Sri Haridev Joshi, and Governor of Rajasthan, Sri O.P. Mehra, on achieving rank in merit list of Rajasthan Higher Secondary Board Examination 1985. He has received awards at elocution and debate competition and awarded by the then Chief Minister of Rajasthan, Sri Shivcharan Mathur. He was Joint Secretary AIFTP Central Zone year 2012 and 13. Then in year 2014 and 15 he was Secretary. Then he became Chairman in year 2018 and 19, and he was National Vice President of the All India Federation of Tax Practitioners AIFTP for the year 2020 and 21. Presently, he is the convener of Direct Tax Representation Committee of AIFTP. Welcome, Sri Rajesh Mehta ji. We are looking forward for your views on this section 194.
Thank you, Agarwal Sahab. Convener Pramod Mundra Sahab, and all the respected chartered accountants of Kolkata BBD Bagh Study Circle of EIRC of ICI. It's my pleasure to be amongst all of you to discuss some of the important issues relating to TDS under Section 194R of the Act. As we all are aware that with effect from 1st July 2022, the new provision Section 194R has come into force. Sir, can I share my screen?
Sure.
Yes, okay. Sir, my screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So there are some of the important issues. However, we generally there are seminars on TDS and TCS provisions. But section 194R in itself is so much lengthy and so much controversial that it itself has become a topic. The finance bill had introduced this section with effect from the 1st July 2022. When the finance bill came, then it became the Finance Act, no problem. And until and unless the CBDT guideline came, till then there were no problem. But the guideline has changed the law itself. As we all are aware that during last 3-4 years, so many of the income tax provisions have been introduced in the Income Tax Act, and most of the provisions which have been introduced during last 3-4 years, every provision has a subsection that if there arises any difficulty in giving effect to the provisions of this section, the CBDT is empowered to issue a guideline to remove the difficulties. However, in my opinion, the word to remove the difficulty is going to be changed by the next Finance Act, and there may be the word to introduce the difficulty, because by way of issuing any guideline, there does not remove any difficulty. All the difficulties are being introduced freshly by way of the guidelines, because during last 3 years, section 206C, 1H, 194Q, every new section has been supported by some subsequent guidelines. In the same manner, 194Q guidelines have been, 194R guidelines have also been introduced. Now, on the 14th of the June, one of my client came to me. He asked about the implications of 194R. I discussed with him everything in detail, what type of payments he is giving to his distributors, to his end user customers, to his wholesalers. He finalized that he is giving about 18 crore of rupees by way of benefit or perquisite to his distributor, wholesaler, or the end users. But when I discussed with him each and every aspect of this 18 crore of the benefit of perquisite being debited in his profit and loss account, I concluded to him that there is no need of any deduction of TDS under section 194R on whole of these 18 crore of the profit and loss account expenditure. But I put a disclaimer to him that please wait. During last year's section 206C 1H was introduced, 194Q was introduced. For both of these sections, CBDT had issued a fresh guidelines, and the guidelines changed the intention of the sections. In the same manner, I told that for the 194R, there may also come the guidelines, and that guideline may change the intention of the law. So until and unless the guideline come, please do not proceed on the basis of my opinion. In the same manner, just after one day, he met me, the guideline came. When I went through the each and every question and answer suggested by the CBDT by way of guideline, I came to know that the whole of the 18 crore of my client, which was the whole of the 18 crore of the figure, came to be covered under 194R, and I told him that now your whole money of rupees 18 crore is going to be covered under 194R, and you will be liable for TDS on all of these provisions. So this is the guideline which has changed the law itself. So first question comes before us, the who is the person liable for TDS under section 194R? Any of the person who is being an individual, HUF or a company or a partnership firm or LLP who are providing any benefit or perquisite, whether convertible into money or not, is liable for TDS under section 194R at the rate of 10% on the value or aggregate value of such benefit or perquisite. But as in all other TDS provisions, in this provision also any individual or HUF is not liable for TDS if any of the benefit or perquisite being provided by him during the year does not exceed rupees 20,000. If any of the benefit or perquisite during the year exceed rupees 20,000, it will be covered, and simultaneously there should be one condition in case of individual HUF, that the turnover in the course of business should exceed rupees 1 crore. If turnover does not exceed rupees 1 crore, then individual and HUF are not liable for 194R. Even if the benefit or perquisite to individual resident person exceeds rupees 20,000. In the same manner, if any professional is passing on any benefit or perquisite, if his turnover during the preceding previous year exceed rupees 50 lakh, then only he is covered under 194R. Otherwise, he will not be covered even if his benefit or perquisite is exceeding rupees 20,000 during the year. Another condition is that the person to whom we are providing the benefit or perquisite, the perquisite or benefit being extended to him should be during the course of business or profession of such resident. So if any of the person who is the end user and not in the course of business or profession, then he will not be covered under 194R. Or any of the person who is an employee of any of the company, then such employee is not receiving any benefit or perquisite from the company during the course of his business or profession, so it will not be covered under 194R. Whether any person providing any benefit or perquisite to an end user or ultimate consumer is liable to TDS under 194R? No. Say for example, any of the person went to the electronic shop to purchase a refrigerator. The electronic shop has given him a refrigerator of rupees 21,000 free of cost. Even though since the person who is purchasing this refrigerator is not receiving this during the course of his business or profession, because he is the end user, he is not the dealer of refrigerator, he is not the dealer of electrical or electronic goods, or he is not a businessman or not a professional in any manner, then any such benefit or perquisite being received by him will not be subjected to section 194R. Then what was the provision before the 1st July 2022? Because section 28 clause 4 is applicable in the Income Tax Act since about last 60 years, because section 28 clause 4 was introduced in the Income Tax Act since 1964, but there were no TDS provisions for these benefits or perquisites. Therefore, if any of the benefits or perquisites which were not in the form of money, they were not liable for TDS. There is a judgment of ITT Mumbai. There was a film named Billu Barber that was finally named as Billu. In that film, there were 3 heroines, and these actresses were given some gifts in kind of rupees 45 lakh. But the Red Chilli Entertainment did not deduct any TDS on these gifts in kind of rupees 45 lakh. So the assessing officer told that this is the remuneration covered under section 194J of the Act. Therefore, there will be disallowance under section 40A Roman 1A. 40A IA, we generally call this section as 40A IA, but actually this is 40A Roman 1A. So the assessing officer made disallowance under section 194J of the Act. Then the matter went to the tribunal, Honorable ITAT Mumbai. The ITAT had told that the expression any sum used in section 194J whether should mean payment made in money terms or also in kind requires to be examined. It is the contention of the assessee that any sum referred to in section 194J would only relate to payment made in money term. It is observed in the Honorable ITAT further told that it is observed in the case of H.H. Sri Rama Verma versus CIT 1990 187 ITR 308 Supreme Court. Honorable Supreme Court, while referring to the expression any sum paid used in section 80G, held that any sum referred to in the provision would only mean cash amount of money. So Honorable Supreme Court has already told that wherever in the Income Tax Act the word is used any sum means the cash amount of money and not in kind. Therefore, Honorable ITAT held that the gifts in kind being given to the actress is, even if it is the remuneration, but such remuneration is not any sum of money. It is in kind. So it is in the form of kind. Therefore, it will not be covered under section 194J. So now these gifts were exempted earlier, but now with effect from 1st July 2022, such type of gifts which are in kind will not be covered under 194J, but will be covered under section 194R. If any of the manufacturing company sells its products to distributors and also provide free gifts to further pass on to the end user or consumer, then is it liable to TDS under section 194R? Yes. Even if the distributor is acting like conduit in providing such benefit or perquisite to end user, because the manufacturing company is selling its product to the distributor and the company has given instruction to the distributor that kindly pass on these free gifts to the end user, and these free gifts will not be retained by the distributors or will not be retained by the wholesalers, even if whether the company is required to deduct TDS from the gifts received in kind by the distributors or wholesalers, which are neither income of the distributor or nor of the wholesaler. Yes, as per the CBDT guideline, this is the income of the distributor, so it will be liable for TDS under 194R. Even if the distributor is acting like conduit in providing such benefit or perquisite to the end user or consumer. But as per CBDT guideline, circular number 12/2022 dated 16th June 2022 issued in this regard, it is not required to check. CBDT guideline has clearly told that it is not required to check whether the benefit is taxable or not in the hands of the recipient. For example, a car manufacturing company is selling 300 cars to a distributor at a cost of rupees 23 lakh per car, and such manufacturing company is also providing seat cover free of cost for each car, each seat cover having value of rupees 22,000 per seat cover. Such seat cover are to be passed on free of cost to the end user or consumer by such distributors. The said manufacturer is also required to deduct TDS under 194R on aggregate value of such seat covers. However, the said circular is not in accordance with the Act because Section 4 of the Income Tax Act states that TDS can only be on income chargeable to tax, because Section 4 is the charging section, and Section 4 specifies that income tax is to be levied only on the income. Section 4, subsection 2 of the Income Tax Act states that in respect of income chargeable under subsection 1, income tax shall be deducted at source or paid in advance where it is so deducted or payable under any provision of this act. So from the section 4 subsection 2, we can see that TDS is to be deducted only on the income chargeable under subsection 1. If in any income is not chargeable, then no TDS is required to be deducted, no income tax is to be levied as per section 4 subsection 1 and 4 subsection 2. Even if the CBDT guideline has changed the intention of the Income Tax Act and the subsection 4 subsection 2 and subsection 1 of the Income Tax Act as specified under section 4 of the Act. So the guideline has changed the basic theme, basic intention of the section 4 itself. Section 4 subsection 2 above states that TDS is to be deducted on income chargeable under subsection 1. Therefore, any amount which is not an income in the hands of the recipient, it may not be subjected to TDS. But now, until the circular number 12/2022 is supplemented by any suitable amendment in future, the TDS has to be done on this value, deeming it as a benefit. Therefore, even if the seat covers are not going to be retained by the distributor or by the wholesaler, even though these seat covers will be subjected to TDS under section 194R of the Act, and the 10% of the working capital of the distributors and wholesalers will be blocked only because of the CBDT guideline. If 3 cars would have been given free of cost on sale of 300 cars to the distributor, then it will not be subjected to TDS under section 194R, because it is covered in the exact example given in question number 4 of the circular, which we will be discussing in the next our questions. In the above example, whether the car distributor can claim value of these free seat cover as an allowable expenses as and when passed on free of cost to the end user or consumers. Yes, the car distributor can claim these seat covers as an allowable expenses as and when it is passed on to the end users or to the consumers. To claim it as an expenditure, the said distributor will have to maintain a detailed working with proof that such seat covers have been distributed or given to the end users or consumers, and the distributor has not charged any money from any consumer for such free seat covers. So the distributor will now be compelled earlier to this guideline. The distributors were not compulsorily required to maintain any record of seat covers or any gifts being passed on to the end users. But in view of this guideline, the distributor or the wholesaler will be compulsorily required to maintain the record of disposal of these seat covers or any of the gifts in kind or gold coins, etc., being passed on to the end users. If sufficient record is not maintained by the distributor or the wholesaler, then such gifts being received by the distributor or the wholesaler from the manufacturer will become the income of the distributor or of the wholesaler under section 28 clause 4. If a company gives New Year diaries and calendar and pen set or gift items given to the dealer for further distribution to the retailers or end users, etc., whether it is liable for TDS under section 194R? Yes, because the CBDT guideline itself has clearly told that you are not required to see whether it is income of the person to whom the gift has been given. So as per CBDT guideline, it is liable to be TDS. It will be subjected to TDS by the company because the company has given benefits in kind, even if these are not to be retained by the distributor or retailer, because finally to be given to the end user or consumer, because the diaries or the New Year calendars are never retained by the distributor and never retained by the wholesaler or never retained by the retailer. These are always being passed on to the generally to the end users, even though as per the CBDT guideline, the distributor, the wholesaler or the retailer will have to suffer the TDS under section 194R of the Act. Because CBDT guideline has said that the person providing is not required to check whether the person receiving the gift, etc., is his income or not. It will be subjected to TDS under until any further clarification comes from the CBDT. Because the millions of rupees of TDS will be blocked, the working capital of the retailer, wholesaler, distributor is going to be blocked by way of this guideline, even if they are not receiving any income. Is it necessary that the person providing benefit or perquisite needs to check if the amount is taxable under section 28 clause 4 of the Act before deducting TDS under section 194R of the Act? In this regard, circular number 12/2022 states that no, the deductor is not required to check whether the amount of benefit or perquisite that he is providing would be taxable in the hands of the recipient under clause 4 of section 28 of the Act. The amount could be taxable under any other section like section 41 subsection 1, etc. So CBDT has also widened the scope of section 194R. Mainly section 194R was applicable only to the incomes which were covered under section 28 clause 4. But CBDT guideline has expanded the scope of section 194R by stating that the amount could be taxable under any other section like section 41 subsection 1 and etc. So they have introduced the word etc. also. Section 194R of the Act casts an obligation on the person responsible for providing any benefit or perquisite to a resident to deduct tax at source at the rate of 10%. There is no further requirement to check whether the amount is taxable in the hands of the recipient or under which section it is taxable. So the person who is giving these benefits in kind is not required to check whether it is taxable in the hands of the recipient or under which section it is taxable in the hands of the recipient. It is not required to be checked. As per the guideline, the scope of TDS under section 194R has to be extended to section 41 subsection 1, etc. However, it seems from the memorandum explaining the provisions of the Finance Bill 2022, the intention was not so. The intention of the legislature can be inferred from the Finance Bill. While presenting the budget 2022, Honorable Finance Minister in her budget speech stated that rationalizing TDS provisions, it has been noticed that as a business promotion strategy, there is a tendency on business to pass on benefits to their agents. Such benefits are taxable in the hands of the agents. In order to track such transaction, I propose to provide for tax deduction by the person giving benefits if the aggregate value of such benefit exceeds 20,000 during the financial year. Therefore, from this intention as mentioned in the Finance Bill 2022, we can infer that the finance bill itself have stated that such benefits should be taxable in the hands of the person who is receiving the benefits. Whereas the guideline has said that it is not required to be checked whether it is taxable in the hands of the recipient or not. So the guideline has changed the intention of the law, changed the intention of the Honorable Finance Minister while presenting the finance bill. Honorable FM stated that the benefits are passed on to agents and it is taxable in the hands of agents to track this TDS is provided. It is meaning that such benefits are not through banking channel. So the intention of the Honorable FM was that any benefits which are not through banking channel, nor through book entries, nor through credit note, therefore there remain chances of not recording such benefits in the books of accounts of the agents. Therefore, TDS is being provided by way of section 194R. Further, here in the above para, the word used is aggregate value of such benefit. That is, benefit is to be converted into value. If the scope was to cover cash benefits also, then the word aggregate amount or aggregate value of such benefit would have been used here. Further, the same can be inferred from the memorandum to the Finance Bill 2022. The memorandum explaining the provisions of the Finance Bill also states that TDS on benefit or perquisite of a business or profession. As per clause 4 of section 28 of the Act, the value of any benefit or perquisite, whether convertible into money or not, arising from business or exercise of profession is to be charged as business income in the hands of the recipient of such benefit or perquisite. However, in many cases, such a recipient does not report the receipt of benefits in their return of income, leading to furnishing of inaccurate particulars of income. Accordingly, in order to widen and deepen the tax base, it is proposed to insert a new section 194R to the Act to provide that the person responsible for providing to a resident any benefit or perquisite, whether convertible into money or not, arising from carrying out of a business or exercising of a profession by such resident, shall, before providing such benefit or perquisite, as the case may be, to such resident, ensure that tax has been deducted in respect of such benefit or perquisite at the rate of 10% of the value of aggregate value or aggregate value of such benefit or perquisite. Further, in a case, just I am reading the finance bill which was presented. Further, in a case where the benefit or perquisite, as the case may be, is wholly in kind or partly in cash and partly in kind, but such part in cash. So I have highlighted here it in the blue color, from which you can see that here cash transaction or transactions in money or any sum has nowhere been mentioned in the finance bill. They have mentioned only that benefit or perquisite, wholly in kind or partly in cash and partly in kind. So from this para of the finance bill, you can conclude that nowhere in the finance bill any benefit in the form of money, any benefit of any sum is nowhere mentioned, but the guideline has changed. So finance bill has only mentioned that any benefit which is wholly in kind or partly in cash and partly in kind. So wholly in kind, wholly in cash word is not mentioned here. The person responsible for providing such benefit or perquisite shall, before releasing the benefit or perquisite, ensure that tax has been paid in respect of the benefit or perquisite. In the first para of the above reference has been made to section 28 clause 4 only. So from this para of the finance bill, you will find that In the finance bill, there was reference to only section 28 clause 4. But the CBDT guideline issued wide circular 12/2022. The guideline has stated that the benefit or perquisite can be in the form of money also, can be in cash also, and it may be covered the cessation of liability or write-off of the any debts which is covered under section 41 subsection 1 or any other section of the Income Tax Act. So the guideline has changed the intention of the law, changed the intention of the Honorable Finance Minister, and changed the intention as was envisaged under the Finance Bill. From the above pair of the memorandum, the words used are the value or aggregate value, person providing such benefit or perquisite, person responsible for providing such benefit or perquisite, etc. from the phrases. It is clear that the such benefit or perquisite nowhere in the above phrase, the words, amount or aggregate of the amount is nowhere mentioned. Or person responsible for paying is nowhere mentioned. Then how it can be applicable to the amount in money or to any sum? But the guideline has overlooked all these things. If any cash discount or sales discount is given to the customer, whether it is liable to TDS under section 194 or yes, but they have given some relief to the wholesalers and distributors by way of this question number 4 of the guideline. What they have told in this guideline, in the question number 4, they have told, first of all, they have given a question whether sales discount, cash discount and rebate are benefit or perquisite. They have told that sales discount, cash discount or rebate allowed to the customers from the listed retail price represent lesser realization of the sale price itself. To that extent, purchase price of the customer is also reduced. Logically, these are also benefits, though related to sales or purchases. Since TDS under section 194R of the Act is applicable on all forms of benefit or perquisite, tax is required to be deducted. However, it is seen that subjecting these to the TDS would put the seller to the difficulty. To remove such difficulty, it is clarified that no tax is required to be deducted under section 194R of the Act on sales discount, cash discount and rebate allowed to the customers. In the said answer, CBDT has further stated that there could be another situation where a seller is selling its items from its stock in trade to a buyer. So which types of items will be exempted from 194R? Where a seller is selling its items from its stock in trade to a buyer. The seller offers 2 items free with purchases of 10 items. In substance, the seller is actually selling 12 items at a price of 10 items. Let us assume that the price of each item is rupees 12. Say, for example, any of the companies selling 10 toothpaste. Along with these 10 toothpaste, 2 toothpaste are being given free of cost. In this case, the selling price for the seller would be rupees 120 for these 12 items. So the CBDT has assumed that even if you are selling the 10 items and 2 items are being given as a gift, but CBDT has told that you are charging rupees 120 for these whole 12 items. And for the buyer also, he has purchased 12 items. He has not purchased the 10 items. He has purchased the 12 items at a price of rupees 10 and not at a price of rupees 12. So just like seller, the purchase price for the buyer is rupees 120 for these 12 items, and he is expected to record so in his books of accounts. In such a situation, Again, there could be difficulty in applying the section 194R provision. Hence, to remove the difficulty, it is clarified that on the above facts, no tax is required to be deducted under section 194R of the Act. Therefore, CBDT has clarified that only where the similar item are given as a free gift, exactly same item should be there. In that situation, only the TDS is not liable to be deducted. It is clarified that situation is different when free sample are given, and the above relaxation would not apply to a situation of free sample. Similarly, this relaxation should not be extended to other benefits provided by the seller in connection with its sale. So the guideline has also clearly told that the above relaxation would not apply to a situation of free sample, and this relaxation should not be extended to other benefits. So we cannot assume anything else, only whichever is specified in this guideline, only that is exempted, else this nothing is exempted under section 194R. The following are some of the example of benefit or perquisite on which tax is required to be deducted under 194R. CBDT has given some of the example in their circular. When a person gives incentive other than discount or rebate in the form of cash or kind, such as car, TV, computer, gifts, gold coin, mobile phone, etc. So the CBDT has covered the incentive in cash also here. Whereas the section 194R or neither section 28 clause 4 uses the word cash. Section 194R uses the word partly in cash and partly in kind. But fully in cash is not covered in the under 194R, but the guideline has covered the in the form of cash only. When a person sponsors a trip for the recipient and is a or her relative upon achieving certain targets, when a person provides free tickets for an event, or when a person gives medicine free sample to the medical practitioner. The above examples are only illustrative. The relaxation provided from non-deduction of tax for sales discount and rebate is only on those items and should not be extended to others. From the above, it can be inferred. So this was the CBDT guideline. So now my view is that from the above, it can be inferred that any items given free out of stock in trade along with items sold out of stock in trade is not liable to TDS if any item has been in the nature of expenses and has been claimed as an expenditure in the P&L account by the person providing the benefit, then it will be liable for TDS because it is not treated as purchases and not sold. That is given without tax invoice and not out of and along with stock in trade. CBDT guideline question number 7. The question number 7 issued by the, so just some of the only important questions which have been given in the CBDT guideline I am using here as it is. CBDT guideline question number 7. Whether reimbursement of out-of-pocket expenses incurred by service provider in the course of rendering service is benefit or perquisite. So this question of the CBDT guideline is going to affect us as a chartered accountant, because many times we go out of our station for audit by way of air travel, by way of road, or we go out of country, and when we get reimbursement of our expenses of the travel, hotel, lodging, boarding, if we have not obtained any of the invoice in the name of our client, then we will be subjected to TDS under section 194R. It has been specified by the CBDT. What they have told in their answer? They have told that any expenditure which is the liability of a person carrying out business or profession, if made by the other person, in effect, benefit or perquisite is provided by the second person to the first person in the course of business or profession. So the guideline has told that if incurring expenditure for travel, lodging, boarding is the responsibility of the service provider, then this is the liability but being incurred by your client, then it will be your income. If the invoice is not in the name of X and the payment is made by X directly or reimbursed, it is the benefit of perquisite provided by X to the consultant, for which deduction is required to be made under 194R of the Act. So they have told that if you are going on air travel, your air travel invoice should be in the name of, say for example, you are going for a bank audit. So the air travel invoice should be in the name of the banker himself. If the air travel ticket invoice issued by the air travel agency or by the airlines is in the name of the chartered accountant, name of the auditor himself, then such a reimbursement of air travel expenses will become the benefit in the hands of the chartered accountant, and the bank will be required to deduct the TDS under 194R on such air travel ticket or hotel, lodging, boarding, or any of the expenses incurred on traveling by way of road or rail, etc. Then another question of the CBDT circular is question number 8. If there is a dealer conference to educate the dealer about the products of the company, is it benefit or perquisite? CBDT has given two views here. One view is partially in favor of the assessee, and one view is in favor of the revenue, favor of the government. The expenditure pertaining to dealer business conference would not be considered as benefit or perquisite for the purpose of section 194R of the Act. In a case where dealer or business conference is held with the prime object to educate the dealers or customers about any of the following or similar aspects: new product is being launched, or any discussion as to how the product is better than the others, or obtaining orders from dealers or consumers, teaching sales techniques to the dealers or customers, addressing queries of the dealers or customers, reconciliation of accounts with dealers or customers. However, such conference must not be in the nature of incentive or benefit to selected dealers or customers who have achieved particular targets. So they have also here mentioned one very controversial thing, that such conference must not be in the nature of incentive or benefit to selected dealers or customers who have achieved particular targets. So if any of the conference is being organized for the dealers or customers who have achieved particular targets, then it will be in the form of the benefit or perquisite and will be liable for 194R. So any of the conference should be for all the dealers, for all the customers, not for a specific group of dealers or not for a specific group of the customers who have achieved certain particular targets. If they are covered, then that will be subjected to 194R. Further, they have told that in their guideline that in the following cases, the expenditure would be considered as benefit or perquisite for the purpose of 194R of the Act, which are these circumstances: expenses attributable to leisure trip or leisure component. Even if any conference is to educate your business dealers or customers, but if that conference has some of the component of leisure trip or leisure component is there, then such a leisure component will be subjected to TDS under section 194R of the Act, even if it is incidental to the dealer business conference. Then second situation they have told in the CBDT guideline is expenditure incurred for family members accompanying the person attending dealer business conference. Third situation they have covered: expenditure on participants of dealers or business conference for days which are on account of prior stay or overstay beyond the date of such conference. Say for example, the conference has been organized for one day, that is only for the 23rd of the August, but the dealers have reached to the hotel on the 21st of the August and left the hotel on 25th of the August. Therefore, any of the expenses incurred by the company for the dealers for stay of their dealers or their agents or their customers for the days of 21st August, 22nd August, 24th August, and 25th August. All these 4 days will be treated as a perquisite in the hands of the dealers, because the conference was organized only for the one-day conference for 23rd August. So, except for this one day, all these 4 days are liable for TDS under 194R. When to deposit this TDS? In the same manner as applicable for other TDS provision, that is within 7 days from the end of the month in which TDS is deducted, and within 30 days from the end of the month of the March. If the TDS has been deducted only in the month of March, then 30 days time is provided, as we all are aware. And then such information is to be furnished in the form number 26Q by way of a TDS statement, which is to be filed quarterly. We all are aware of this fact. Whether any recipient can apply for the lower rate of under section 197? No. The low rate application under section 197 cannot be applied for the purpose of section 194R of the Act. What is the threshold of 194R TDS liability? The threshold is rupees 20,000. Since when the liability to deduct the TDS under section 194R is going to arise? This is already arisen from the 1st July 2022. If any benefit or perquisite is provided in the form of money only, that is in cash or check or by way of credit note or journal entry, then whether is it liable to TDS? So now this question is being framed by myself. This is not the question framed by the CBDT. So what is my answer? Any benefit or perquisite, if only in the form of money, that is either by cash or by check or by credit note or by any journal entry, is not liable for TDS under section 194R. So this is my view, because section 28 clause 4 nowhere uses the word in the form of money or in cash exclusively. When you will go through the section 28 clause 4, you will find that they have not used anywhere in the form of money or in cash word has not been used, but CBDT guideline has used these both words. Also, section 194R subsection 1 states that any benefit or perquisite, whether convertible into money or not. So from this phrase, from any benefit or perquisite, whether convertible into money or not. So this phrase of subsection 1 of section 194R nowhere uses the in the form of money. It means under section 194R only those benefit or perquisite are covered which is not in the form of money, but which has to be convertible into money or not capable to convert into money. Therefore, any benefit or perquisite which is directly in money is excluded under section 194R. As per section 194R subsection 1, any benefit which is directly in money is excluded, but this can be depicted only by way of going through the section 28 clause 4 and section 194R subsection 1. But however, the CBDT circular has stated that any incentive in cash is also liable for TDS. So the CBDT circular has changed the intention of the law. Circular has covered cash transactions, cash incentive also under section 194R. One controversy is there that as per section 28 clause 4, benefit or perquisite directly in the form of money, that is in cash or check or banking channel or any credit note, is not liable to be covered under section 28 clause 4 because it is directly and clearly in the form of money. Then any benefit in cash or check or RTGS should have been kept out of purview of the section 194R by the CBDT guideline because cash, check, RTGS, journal entry, credit note are already accounted for in the books of account. Therefore, any benefit or perquisite in kind, whether convertible into money or not, any cash benefit is not through book entry, can only be treated as an income. As I have discussed in my previous paragraph, that Honorable Finance Minister in her budget speech told that the benefits in kind are given to the agents which are not being offered by such agents which cannot be traced, but the memorandum explaining the provisions of the finance bill, the memorandum of finance bill and the budget speech nowhere use the money or in cash, but this guideline has covered the cash transaction or transactions in money also. So this has expanded the scope of the section itself, expanded the scope of the budget, expanded the scope of the section itself. Honorable Madras High Court in the case of Scrimeco Regent Limited versus CIT 196 Taxman 103 Madras High Court, they have told that the reserve and surplus is brought in financial terms having monetary value and not through any fixed assets. In fact, section 28 clause 4 has no application to any transaction which involves money. So there are so many of the High Court judgment and Supreme Court judgment which says that section 28 clause 4 is applicable only to transactions which are not in the form of money. But guideline doesn't accept these any High Court or Supreme Court judgments. Further, the same view has been held by the Gujarat High Court in the case of CIT versus Alchemic Private Limited 130 ITR 168, in which they have also told, the Gujarat High Court has also stated that the question of including the value of benefit or perquisite would arise only if the benefit or the perquisite is not in cash or money. So there are so many judgments. There is Madras High Court judgment also, in which they have told that any benefit in the form of money cannot be covered as a perquisite. There is judgment of Mysore Commercial Union Limited of the Karnataka High Court, in which also they have told that any benefit in cash cannot be covered under section 48 clause 5. Then Delhi High Court has told that the term provided for means to keep something ready in order to perform or do it. Under section 10 clause 10cc, the monetary payment should be provided for the employee. It should be an employee who is provided for by way of monetary payment within the meaning of clause 17 subsection 2. In other words, payment of actual money to the employee and not the equivalent of that of money's worth is what the legislator complemented by provision by way of the monetary payment. If some benefit is directly or indirectly received by the assessee which has money's worth, it is not a monetary payment. Further, the Honorable Gujarat High Court in the case of CIT versus Alchemic Private Limited, they have told that it is obvious that if what is received either by way of benefit or perquisite is money, there is no question of considering the value of such monetary benefit or perquisite under section 28 clause 4. So Gujarat High Court has also clearly told that if any benefit is in the form of money, it will not be covered under section 28 clause 4. So there are so many of the judgments I have given in this write-up. This write-up I will send to Mundraji and Agarwalji, and Mundraji will forward this article to all of you. So I am not discussing some of the things which are not much useful at this moment. So there are so many of these judgments. In these judgments also it is told that if any benefit which is not in kind, which is in the form of money, then it cannot be covered under section 28 clause 4. Therefore, in view of the above judgment, CBDT guideline is not in accordance with the judicial precedents. Until any further clarification through any circular come out from the CBDT, we have to follow the guideline. So one important thing, even if CBDT guideline has expanded the scope of the section 194R, has expanded the scope of section 28 clause 4, we are bound by the CBDT guideline. So until and unless any new CBDT circular comes, we have to follow that TDS has to be deducted even if any of the benefit or perquisite is in the form of money or is in the form of any sum of money. Then another question which I have formed here, if any benefit in kind is provided and tax invoice is raised for it, not for the full amount or not of the fair value, but for the ₹1 only. Many of the V chartered accountants are here who are doing practice in the GST, and many of the V chartered accountants have done audit of GST in the form number 9C also, and we are compiling the form number 9 for the purpose of GST also, and we advise our clients for the purpose of GST. So whenever our client asks from us that he wants to extend some benefits in kind to the end users, to the distributors in the form of kind, then whether, because he's say for example any of the companies selling a refrigerator, and the company is told that if any of the dealer achieves the target of selling 100 refrigerator during 1 month, the company will give a gold coin to the distributor. The company has purchased the gold coin, which has suffered the GST on the gold coin value. When the company, say for example, the company had purchased this gold coin for rupees 30,000. One gold coin was of rupees 30,000. And this gold coin was given as a benefit in kind on achieving certain target by the distributor, by the wholesaler, by the retailer. Then we advise as a GST advisor that you, since you are not selling this gold coin to the dealer, to the distributor, therefore you can issue the tax invoice of ₹1 only for this gold coin, so that you will be allowed to claim the ITC on purchase of this item. If anyone transfers any of the item to any of the dealer or during the course of supply of goods or services free of cost, then ITC is reversed if any of the goods or services have been provided free of cost. So we advise our client in the GST practice that if you are giving any gift, at least issue a bill of ₹1. So the company is issuing the bill of ₹1. So what the section 194R says in this regard? Section 194R says that any person responsible for providing to a resident any benefit or perquisite, whether convertible into money or not, arising from business or the exercise of a profession by such resident, shall, before providing such benefit or perquisite, as the case may be, to such resident, ensure that tax has been deducted in respect of such benefit or perquisite at the rate of 10% of the value or aggregate value of such benefit or perquisite. From the above, it is clear that section provides to deduct TDS at the rate of 10% on the value or aggregate value of such benefit or perquisite. So here we can see that value or aggregate value, here nowhere the money or any sum of money is nowhere mentioned. Here it is mentioned that value or aggregate value. As per question 5 of the circular 12/2022. What is the question 5 of the CBDT circular? The question is, how is the valuation of benefit or perquisite is required to be carried out? They have specified guideline to value the benefits being given in kind to the dealers or to the wholesalers or distributors. What answer they have provided? The valuation would be based on fair market value of the benefit or perquisite, except in following cases. The benefit or perquisite provider has purchased the benefit. So if the person who is providing the benefit in kind, he has purchased this gold coin, say for he has purchased it for rupees 30,000 for one gold coin, and he has transferred it by way of issuing only tax invoice of rupees 1. Even though he has issued the tax invoice for rupees 1, but as per the CBDT guideline, the benefit will be treated of rupees 30,000, and this 30,000 gold coin will be subjected to TDS under section 194R. Whether provisions of section 206 AB is applicable for 194R, in my opinion, section 206 AB is not applicable to 194R, because what does the section 206 AB says? Notwithstanding anything contained in any other provision of this act, where tax is required to be deducted at source under provisions of chapter 17B, other than 192, so these sections are given on any sum or income. So this word is important here. What does the section 206 AB says? Any sum or income or amount paid or payable or credited. So from here you can infer that section 206 AB nowhere use value or aggregate value of any benefit provided in kind. So any benefit provided in kind is not covered under section 206 AB, because any sum of money is covered. So if any benefit is provided by way of cash incentive, then it will certainly be covered under section 206 AB. Then another question which Mundraji has also discussed in his opening remarks, that section 194R is not covered under section 40A Roman 1A. Why? Because section 40A 1A of the Act states that 30% of the any sum payable to a resident. So here the words I have highlighted by way of blue lines, in which you will see that the 30% of any sum payable, and we have already discussed that any sum means always any sum of money. It never can be presumed to be in kind. Therefore, section 40A Roman 1A is not applicable for any gifts provided in kind. Then another question issued by the CBDT guideline, question number 3. Is there any requirement to deduct TDS under 194R when the benefit or perquisite is in the form of the capital asset? They have stated that even if any benefit is in the form of capital asset, even though you are required to deduct the TDS, because there is a judgment of Honorable Supreme Court in the case of Mahindra and Mahindra, in which Honorable Supreme Court has told that if any of the benefit is in the form of the capital asset, then it will not be covered under section 28 clause 4. So there was a loan taken by the Mahindra and Mahindra from foreign company out of India. Subsequently, that loan was waived off in favor of the Mahindra and Mahindra. The assessing officer told to the Mahindra and Mahindra that this waiver of loan, even if it is a capital asset, it is your income. Honorable Supreme Court told that since section 28 clause 4 is not applicable to any transaction in the form of money, so it will be out of purview of the section 28 clause 4. But the CBDT has given this example. CBDT has given some of the judgments in their guideline. The second judgment quoted by CBDT in their guideline is the amount representing principal loan waived by the bank under one-time settlement scheme OTS would constitute income under section 28 clause 4. So CBDT has told that OTS is the income, whereas Honorable Supreme Court says that any waiver of loan which is against the capital asset, it is not income. So the Supreme Court judgment has been ignored by CBDT itself. And another 2-3 these examples are given by the CBDT. My view is here CBDT has failed to have a look that the judgment judgment given above is the CIT versus Ramaniam Homes Private Limited 2016. 68 taxman.com 289 Madras High Court. This judgment has been quoted by the CBDT. CBDT is not aware of the fact that this judgment has already been reversed by Honorable Supreme Court wide 2018-404 ITR 1 Supreme Court dated 24th April 2018 along with the case of Mahindra and Mahindra. In the case of Mahindra and Mahindra, the judgment was also there, which have also been decided along with Mahindra and Mahindra in favor of the assessee that any sum of money or any waiver of loan is not an income in the hands of the person, and it is not covered under section 41 subsection 1, nor it is covered under section 28 clause 4. If any benefit is provided in kind, how to deduct the TDS? Section 194R says that if benefit is in kind, you are required to say to the person who is receiving the benefit in kind that he will deposit the advance tax challan and he will give a declaration letter along with the advance tax challan to the person who is providing the benefit. And this advance tax challan will have to be reported in the form number 26Q. Then another important thing which we have to advise our client, because we have to advise our client that if any benefit is received in kind, whether any book entry is required, yes, because otherwise there may arise some question that your client has not offered this income in his books of accounts. So as per section 199 of the Act, since this income has not been offered in the income, then TDS deducted on this will not be refunded, cannot be claimed, because section 199 of the Act says that any TDS can be claimed only in the year in which the income has been offered. If income is not offered, no TDS can be claimed. So we should advise our client that kindly offer this benefit even if your client has received any seat cover, as I have told already, any gold coin, or if they have received any cash benefit, or they have received any diary or calendar which are not to be retained by them, even though they are required to account for this by way of income in the profit and loss account. And in my opinion, this entry should not be passed through the party ledger. It should be directly taken to the indirect income. Because say for example, any of your distributor has received any gift from any manufacturing company. If that gift has been credited in the account of the manufacturing company, then your party ledger will not be reconciled, because the manufacturer which has given gift to you, they have debited the gifts directly to the profit and loss account by way of sales promotion expenses. Therefore, these gifts in kind are to be taken to the P&L account in under the head indirect income. And subsequently, if these gold coins are further passed on to the end user or to any retailer, or these seat covers are further passed on to the end users or to subsequent wholesaler retailers, then such seat covers which are utilized, which are consumed, are or diary or calendar which are utilized, which are consumed for subsequently passing on to the further wholesaler, distributor, or consumer, then these are to be debited as an expenditure, as a sales promotion expenses in the profit and loss account. So this can be claimed as an expenses. However, some disputes will come in future years that the assessing officer will tell that there is a violation of provisions of section 40A subsection 3, because any of the expenses which is not in the form of money, which is which is otherwise then through account pay check, is liable to be disallowed under section 40A subsection 3. So in my opinion, CBDT will again may have to come by way of a guideline, so that there will not be any disallowance under section 40A subsection 3 for such type of expenses which are neither income of our client but are being deemed as income. So CBDT must come out with a guideline. Then another very important thing come for the purpose of our practice for advising to our clients, which is whether section 44 AD or 44 ADA beneficiary will have to include this benefit or purchase it in his turnover or gross receipt. This benefit may be in the form of cash, in the form of money, in the form of cash incentive, which is not a rebate, which is not a discount, or in the form of gold coin, or in the form of a leisure trip, foreign trip, or doctors are receiving free sample, whether these free sample, gold coin, diary calendar are to be covered for the purpose of turnover, for the purpose of determining the turnover, for the purpose of section 44 AD or 44 ADA. 44 AD, there is a limit of rupees 2 crore. For the purpose of 44 ADA, we all are aware the limit is rupees 50 lakh. Whether the benefits received by professionals, doctors, by way of leisure trip, by way of free sample, by way of gold coin, by way of refrigerator, doctors are receiving refrigerator, whether these items or the wholesaler or distributors are receiving incentive in cash, whether these are to be included in the turnover under 44 AD or 44 ADA. In my opinion, no. These gifts, either received in kind or received in cash, are incentive or are benefit which is income, which can be income under section 28 clause 4 or can be income under section 41 subsection 1. But in my opinion, this should not be included under 44 AD or 44 ADA turnover, because this is not forming part of the turnover.
सर पर डिस्टर्ब करूंगा यहाँ पर, though it is
Yes,
not a part of the turnover, लेकिन ये जो benefits है, then how it will be taxed in the hand of the recipient, because he may not have passed on this benefit to the customer,
Sir,
to the ultimate customer.
Sir, if say for example any of the doctor has received a refrigerator, and this refrigerator is not being passed on to these patients, or any of the company or any of the distributor or wholesaler has received a gold coin. This gold coin is not passed on to the subsequent customer or to the distributor or to the end user. So this gold coin is the income of the person who has received it. But I have told that this gold coin or this refrigerator is not to be included in the gross turnover. So only for the purpose of 44 AD and 44 ADA, there is a deeming provision that 6% income is to be shown, and section 28 clause 4 tells that any benefit received, whether convertible into money or not, is income of the assessee, and simultaneously, so this benefit is income of the assessee, we accept this. But section 44 AD says that notwithstanding anything contained in section 28 to 43C. So 44 AD excludes all the provisions of section 28 to 43C. So this is covered under 28 clause for this. Therefore, it is out of purview of section 44 AD. So in my opinion, this is income. But this is income. When this is income? If our client is getting his books of accounts audited. Say for example, any of the doctor has receipt of rupees 40 lakh. He may be covered under 44 ADN. But that doctor tells to you that, sir, my net profit is not 50%. My net profit is only 10%. So kindly do the audit of my books of accounts. So when we are doing the audit of his books of accounts, then it is compulsory that such refrigerator has to be included as an indirect income, and it will not be deemed as an expenses. So here we are deeming it as an income, and it is covered under deeming provision because section 44 AD and 44 AD are deeming provision. So it is deemed that all income are covered, all incentive, whether in cash, whether in kind, are covered here. Therefore, we are not separately to include this as a turnover, or not separately required to show it as an income. This is my view. Then another question which is framed by me comes: if any resident who has been provided benefit or perquisite does not offer income in the return of income due to the reason that it is not taxable in his hands, then how such resident will be able to claim credit of this TDS? As I have already told, say for example, any of the distributor has received a diary and calendar, or the car dealer has received the car seat covers, and he has passed on this seat cover further. So he tell that this is not my income, so I will neither show it in my P&L account credit side, nor I will show it as an expense in my debit side. In that case, he will not be entitled to take the credit of TDS, because as per section 199, he has not shown this amount as his income. So he will be debarred from claiming the TDS. Therefore, we will advise our client to account for this as an income in their profit and loss account, and again claim it as an expenses if further distributed, and maintain and complete record of distribution to further distributors or retailers or consumers. And in case of 44 ADA and 44 ADA, there is no need to separately add this amount as income or as an expenses, because this will be covered in the deemed income and deemed expenses if any. Whether CBDT has any power to issue any guideline to remove the difficulty. As we are seeing that CBDT has neither not removed any difficulty, they have introduced some difficulties, but section says that they have power to introduce the circular to remove the difficulty. And when another important thing, we will see that section 194R subsection 1 has a proviso also. The proviso has changed the intention of the subsection 1. So whether can any proviso change the intention of the main section? No. But here the proviso has changed the intention of the main subsection, because subsection 1 nowhere use any benefit or perquisite in the form of money, but proviso has, first proviso has interpreted that subsection 1 covers any benefit in the form of money or in the form of cash. So in future, these type of controversies are going to arise, and many of the persons, many of the big corporates who are facing blockage of their working capital in the TDS, they will certainly go to high court, will approach to high court by way of writ petition that the CBDT guideline is wrong and the proviso itself is wrong. Proviso cannot expand the scope of the main section. Then how to reflect this benefits in the TDS statement? If you are providing any benefit or perquisite to your dealers, distributors, consumers, then you are required to mention the name and PAN number of the persons to whom you have provided the benefit. If you have PAN number, then kindly mention the PAN number. If PAN number is not there, as I have already mentioned, that section 206 AB will not be applicable here. But first, very important thing, we must all keep in mind that we are filing quarterly TDS statement of our clients. Generally, we do mention only those payments on which TDS is deducted. But when you will see the form number 26Q or the clause 34A of our 3CD of the tax audit report, the specified columns requires that any of the amount which has not suffered TDS because which is below the threshold is also required to be mentioned in the clause 34A as well as in the column number 424 of the form number 26Q. So you will have to mention right why. So why is has been specified in the form number 26Q already. When you will receive read there, they have mentioned that if there is any payment less than threshold, then you are required to mention why, so that will give an impression that since it is not more than 20,000, therefore TDS has not been deducted, but it is compulsorily required to be mentioned here. And other payments, if the person to whom you have provided the benefits in kind or benefits in cash, if the recipient of benefit has already deposited tax by way of advance tax, then you have to mention a new column has been inserted in the column number. Here you will see that column number 427A, B, C, and D. These columns have been introduced, which requires the detail if the recipient himself has deposited the TDS challan by way of advance tax. So if that advance tax challan has to be mentioned here, so you have to obtain a declaration letter from that person who has received benefit. He will declare to you that he has deposited the advance tax towards benefits received by him in kind. And for if the recipient has deposited the advance tax challan, then for this you have to mention this code number 94R. So these types, these are the discussions. And another very important thing, if any of the doctor has received any free sample and that doctor is employed in any hospital, so whether that hospital will be subjected to 194R, yes, CBDT guideline has specified that the doctor will be covered under, the hospital will be covered under 194R. Any pharmaceutical company has given free sample to doctor employed in any hospital, then the pharmaceutical company will not be liable for TDS of the person who is an employee of hospital. So pharmaceutical company will have to deduct the TDS of the hospital. Then that hospital will have to treat this free sample as a perquisite in the hands of the doctor. This has been specified by the guideline. The guideline says that subsequently the hospital will deduct TDS in the hands of the doctor by way of perquisite under section 17 subsection 2. So this anomaly is also going to be created because neither the hospital uses the free sample nor the doctor uses this free sample. Ultimately, these free sample are being given free of cost to the patient. So these controversies, these disputes are also going to arise in future. Doctors are having to suffer the TDS of the money which is not their income. So, sir, Mundra sir, there were some of the questions. So now I am going to take up this question. Can I take these questions, sir? आपका माइक ऑन कर लीजिए मुंद्रा साहब, आपका माइक ऑन कर लीजिए.
तो मेरे ख्याल से कंफर्टेबल हो जाएगा, आपके लिए भी बहुत देर से बोल रहे हैं
सर.
हाँ, एक मिनट सर. पहला था सर, डिडक्शन ऑफ टैक्स अंडर सोर्स इज टू बी डिडक्टेड ओनली वेयर द रिसिपिएंट इज कैरिंग ऑन द बिजनेस. बेनिफिट्स फ्रॉम द प्रोवाइडर टू कंज्यूमर इज नॉट कवर्ड. इज इट करेक्ट?
यस, बेनिफिट्स फॉर द प्रोवाइडर, जैसा मैंने बताया कि
इट इज
end
करेक्ट.
user को
मतलब
अगर
हम अगर डायरेक्ट कंज्यूमर को देते हैं, अपने कंज्यूमर को, तब उस पर
TDS
टीडीएस नहीं कटेगा.
that will not be covered.
दूसरा क्वेश्चन है सर, बेनिफिट्स एंड perquisites has not been defined in the act. Now, under the circumstances, whether the following transactions will be treated as benefits, like write-off of the debts, interest-free loan to other businesses at rates lower than the standard market rate, whether this is a benefits to the customer, requiring deduction of tax under 194 or incentive to dealers, whether qualified for TDS.
देखिए, जो डेटर्स को हमने राइट ऑफ किया, बेड डेब्ट्स को राइट ऑफ किया. बेड डेब्ट्स को हम जब राइट ऑफ करते हैं तो इफ दैट इज ए यूनिलैटरल एक्ट, कि आपने अपनी बुक्स में राइट ऑफ कर दिया, पर जिस आदमी की बुक्स में क्रेडिटर शो हो रहा है, अपोजिट पार्टी की बुक्स में आप क्रेडिटर के रूप में रिफ्लेक्ट हो रहे हैं. अगर उसने राइट ऑफ नहीं किया तो फिर हमें टीडीएस काटने की कोई लायबिलिटी नहीं है, क्योंकि हमने बेड ऑफ राइट ऑफ किया पर उसको बेनिफिट मिला नहीं है जब तक वो कंफर्मेशन नहीं देता. बिकॉज देयर मस्ट बी टू पार्टीज, वन इज द प्रोवाइडिंग बेनिफिट एंड अनदर इज द रिसीविंग बेनिफिट. उसने अभी तक क्रेडिटर्स ने अपना लायबिलिटी राइट ऑफ नहीं किया है, क्योंकि जब आप बेड ऑफ राइट ऑफ कर रहे हैं तो हमारा उस डेटर्स के साथ कोई रिलेशन नहीं है.
लेकिन
क्रेडिटर
सर
के
ऐसा
साथ
भी होता है कि मैंने यहाँ पर बुक्स में लायबिलिटी दिखा दे कि मुझे रुपया लेना है. The other person has not recognized it in the books of accounts in the earlier years also. तो ऐसा होता है कि बहुत बार जब हम बैड डेट राइट ऑफ करते हैं, दिस इज माय ओन जजमेंट कि हम इसको राइट ऑफ कर रहे हैं कि मेरे को पैसा नहीं आने का. आई मे नॉट कम्युनिकेट विद द अदर पर्सन आल्सो कि वी आर गोइंग टू राइट इट
तो
ऑफ.
अगर आपने देखिए, आपने दिस इज वन साइडेड एक्ट, दिस इज ए यूनिलैटरल एक्ट. तो इसमें चूंकि बेड डेब्ट्स आपने वन साइडेड, आपने खुद ने डिटरमाइन कर लिया कि बहुत पुराना पैसा हो गया, डिस्प्यूट हो गया, पार्टी को नोटिस दिया, वो बेड डेब्ट्स हो गया, तो उसका टीडीएस कैसे आप काटेंगे, है ना. उसका टीडीएस काटने के लिए न तो आपके पास पैसा आएगा, पर अगर आपके कस्टमर ने, आपका जो भी कस्टमर है, उसने अपनी बुक्स में भी रिवर्स एंट्री कर दी है, तो फिर आप उसको इनकम के रूप में शो कर सकते हैं, उसका टीडीएस डिडक्ट कर सकते हैं. इन दैट केस मान लिया, अपन एग्जांपल ले लेते हैं, 1 लाख रुपीस का आपने टीडीएस 1 लाख रुपीस का राइट ऑफ किया, तो आपको या तो 1,11,111 रुपए का उसको पेमेंट बताना पड़ेगा और 11,111 रुपए अपनी जेब से भरना होंगे टीडीएस के रूप में, या आपको उसके 90,000 रुपए राइट ऑफ करना होंगे, 10,000 रुपए टीडीएस के रूप में उसके जमा करना होंगे. तो 1 लाख रुपए पूरा आपका इस तरह से राइट ऑफ होगा, 10,000 आपको टीडीएस जमा होगा.
ओके.
तो इन माय ओपिनियन बेड डेब्ट्स राइट ऑफ अगर यूनिलैटरल एक्ट है, वन साइडेड एक्टिविटी, तो इसमें टीडीएस नहीं कटेगा. देन अनदर सेकंड क्वेश्चन, आपका जो सेकंड क्वेश्चन है, इंटरेस्ट फ्री लोन. इंटरेस्ट फ्री लोन जो है, ये हम किसी को बेनिफिट पास ऑन नहीं कर रहे हैं. देयर इज नो डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट. बेनिफिट उसको कहते हैं जो कि उसको इन काइंड उसे मिल रहा हो. इन काइंड मतलब डायरेक्ट आप कोई वस्तु उसको दे रहे हैं, फिजिकल हैंड ओवर कर रहे हैं, या इन कैश, कैश में कोई आप बेनिफिट उसको ट्रांसफर कर रहे हैं, रिबेट आप दे रहे हैं उसको. तो जो आपने इंटरेस्ट फ्री लोन दिया, उसकी कोई आपके बुक्स में प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट में, डेबिट में, ट्रेडिंग अकाउंट में कोई भी एंट्री नहीं हो रही है, आप डायरेक्टली उसको कोई बेनिफिट नहीं दे रहे. सो अगर ये डिपार्टमेंट कवर करना भी चाहेगा तो ये कवर्ड होगा. सेक्शन 40A सबसेक्शन 2 क्लॉज बी में कवर्ड होता है, जो कि आपने अगर लोअर रेट पे किसी को ब्याज दिया, डिपार्टमेंट आपका कोई इंटरेस्ट डिसअलाउ करेगा वगैरह, डीम्ड इनकम वगैरह. तो इसलिए इंटरेस्ट फ्री लोन जो भी है, that will not be covered under section 194R. फिर इंसेंटिव टू द डीलर्स. अगर आप डीलर्स को इंसेंटिव दे रहे हैं, अगर वो जैसा कि सीबीडीटी ने अपने एग्जांपल में कहा है कि वो रिबेट के रूप में है या डिस्काउंट के रूप में है, तब तो उस पर टीडीएस नहीं कटेगा. पर अगर कोई कैश इंसेंटिव ऐसा है जो कि टर्नओवर से कनेक्टेड नहीं है, तो फिर वो इंसेंटिव विल बी सब्जेक्टेड टू टीडीएस अंडर सेक्शन 194R. So this is my answer.
नहीं सर, जहाँ पर हम टारगेट इंसेंटिव देते हैं या कोई एरिया कवरेज किया उसके ऊपर इंसेंटिव देते हैं, उस वक्त में
वो सर वो टीडीएस में कवर्ड होगा, 194R में कवर्ड होगा, क्योंकि सीबीडीटी ने जो एग्जांपल दिया उन्होंने कहा है कि उस वस्तु पर आप डायरेक्टली कोई डिस्काउंट आप दे रहे हैं। आपने बोला कि आपने हमारे से 30,000 रुपए का एक फ्रिज खरीदा है, तो हम आपको 10% डिस्काउंट फ्रिज पर देंगे, तो 3,000 रुपए आपने फ्रिज की प्राइस को कम कर दिया, तो उस दशा में आपको रिबेट माना जाएगा, डिस्काउंट माना जाएगा, वो 194R में कवर्ड नहीं होगा। पर जब हमने बोला कि आपने साल भर के अंदर हमसे इतने रुपए की फ्रिज खरीद लिए हैं, हम आपको 10% का इंसेंटिव ईयर एंड में देंगे, तो वो आपने एक एक फ्रिज को लिंक नहीं किया, आपने टारगेट डिस्काउंट दे दिया, टारगेट इंसेंटिव दिया, सो दैट विल बी कवर्ड अंडर 194R ऑन ए सेफर साइड। वी विल हैव टू एडवाइज, क्योंकि सीबीडीटी की गाइडलाइन बहुत ज्यादा इस बारे में क्लियर नहीं, उन्होंने रिबेट और डिस्काउंट का कोई ज्यादा एग्जांपल नहीं दिया, इसलिए वी शुड एडवाइज आवर क्लाइंट टू डिडक्ट टीडीएस ऑन दिस इंसेंटिव।
ये क्वेश्चन है सर कि जहां पर कोई इंटरफेस नहीं डायरेक्ट कस्टमर से, गुड्स आर सोल्ड थ्रू distributors but benefits are directly passed on to the customers either through their own employee, a retail chains or sales outlets। हमने कुछ इस टाइप की चीजें हैं कि जो मैंने अपने सेल्समैन को लगा रखा, अपने ऑफिस के जो भी स्टाफ है उनको एम्प्लॉय करके रखा है, डायरेक्ट स्टोर्स के बाहर में आप खड़े रहकर जो भी सामान परचेज करते हैं आप उसको बेचिए, इसको दीजिए, या डायरेक्ट कंजम्पशन सेंटर है वहां पर आप इसे कीजिए। तो उस केस में हम तो डायरेक्ट कस्टमर को दे रहे हैं, इसमें दो बात नहीं है,
तो उस पर टीडीएस नहीं कटेगा सर,
उस पर नहीं कटेगा, लेकिन इसको से इंश्योर कैसे किया जाए कि इट इज नॉट बीन पेड टू कस्टम टू डायरेक्टली टू द कस्टमर टू द डीलर्स।
देखिए, अगर आपकी कंपनी डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर, रिटेलर या होलसेलर को कोई गिफ्ट्स भेजती है तो बकायदा उसका आप 1 रुपए का इनवॉइस हम फाड़ते हैं। जब हम गिफ्ट्स इन काइंड देते हैं तो जनरली जीएसटी के कारण से ये प्रैक्टिस है कि ये 10,000 का गिफ्ट आप किसी को दे रहे हैं तो बिल 10,000 का नहीं फाड़ते, नहीं तो उस पर जीएसटी बिना बात का जेब से लग जाएगा, तो हम उसका बिल 1 रुपए का बनाते हैं। वो किसके नाम से बनाते हैं? वो बिल हम बनाते हैं हमारे रिटेलर, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर या होलसेलर के नाम से। तो जब आपने रिटेलर, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर या होलसेलर के नाम से कोई टैक्स इनवॉइस इशू किया है, उस दशा में 194R लागू होगा। किंतु आपने क्या करा कि आपने कहा साहब ये तो टीडीएस की प्रोविजन से हमको बचना है, तो आपने अपनी कंपनी का एक एम्प्लॉय या एक कोई कॉन्ट्रैक्ट पे किसी आदमी को उस डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर की शॉप के बाहर खड़ा कर दिया और उसको बोल दिया कि सर जो भी कार यहाँ से बिकेगी, जो भी फ्रिज यहाँ से इलेक्ट्रॉनिक शॉप से बिकेगा, हमारी कंपनी का आदमी रहेगा, उसको एक गिफ्ट डायरेक्ट कंज्यूमर को देगा। तो कंपनी की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी अब डायरेक्ट कंज्यूमर से डायरेक्ट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हो गया। आपने कस्टमर को दिया, आपका जो भी एम्प्लॉय वहां पर खड़ा हुआ है, आपका जो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर वहां पे खड़ा हुआ है कस्टमर को डायरेक्ट गिफ्ट देने के लिए, वो कस्टमर से एक डायरी मेंटेन करके एक्नॉलेजमेंट लेगा कि हमने डायरेक्ट गिफ्ट दिया है, तो फिर आपका डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर से के थ्रू आपका कोई गिफ्ट पास ऑन नहीं हुआ है। इन दैट केस यू आर नॉट रिक्वायर्ड टू डिडक्ट एनी टीडीएस।
अब सर इसमें यह है कि हम अपने एम्प्लॉय के थ्रू नहीं करके किसी कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को रखते हैं
तो भी नहीं करेगा, क्योंकि कॉन्ट्रैक्टर उस गिफ्ट को रिसीव नहीं कर रहा है। कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को आपने केवल गिफ्ट, मतलब देखिए इलेक्ट्रॉनिक गुड्स जो व्यक्ति सेल कर रहा है,
हाँ,
गुड्स कौन सेल कर रहा है? इलेक्ट्रॉनिक गुड्स दुकानदार अलग बेच रहा है।
नहीं होगा।
आपने क्या करा कि एक एक्टिविटी को आपकी कंपनी ने डिवाइड कर दिया, गुड्स सेल करने वाला व्यक्ति दूसरा है, कॉन्ट्रैक्टर जो है वो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को आपने क्या काम दिया है? कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को आपने वर्क दिया है कि ये आपको डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करना है। कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को बेनिफिट कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा है ना, कॉन्ट्रैक्टर आपके गुड्स को सेल कर रहा है, आपका जो रेफ्रिजरेटर के कारण से कस्टमर को गिफ्ट मिल रहा है, पर रेफ्रिजरेटर का सेलर अलग है। तो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर जो भी काम कर रहा है वो आपके अंडर में काम कर रहा है, आपके इंस्ट्रक्शन पे काम कर रहा है, इसलिए उस दशा में टीडीएस नहीं कटेगा
ना। ओके सर, ये तो सर फर्स्ट सेट ऑफ क्वेश्चन था। फिर सेकंड सेट में मैंने जो आपको भेजा था
सर, मेरा एक छोटा सा क्वेश्चन है रिगार्डिंग दिस डिस्काउंट। आज कोई मैन्युफैक्चरर अगर डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर को डिस्काउंट दे रहा है या डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर रिटेलर को डिस्काउंट दे रहा है, उस केस में भी अपना टीडीएस एप्लीकेबल नहीं होगा क्या? क्योंकि
सर वो डिस्काउंट अगर आपके डायरेक्टली सेल प्राइस से कनेक्टेड है, आपकी जो रिटेल प्राइस है, आपने लिखा कि 30,000 का एक फ्रिज में आपको दे रहा हूँ, इस फ्रिज के ऊपर 10% डिस्काउंट दूंगा, तब तो फिर ये डिस्काउंट या रिबेट कहलाएगा, इस पर टीडीएस नहीं लगेगा। पर हमने एग्रीगेट डिस्काउंट दिया, एग्रीगेट मतलब पर फ्रिज डिस्काउंट देने की बजाय, पर फ्रिज डिस्काउंट कब होता है? जब इमीडिएटली आपने दे दिया, आपने ईयर एंड में उसको बोला कि आपने साल भर में 1,000 फ्रिज बेचे हैं, तो इसका एग्रीगेट 10% डिस्काउंट हम दे रहे हैं, तो वो फ्रिज टू फ्रिज कनेक्टेड नहीं हुआ, आपका ईयरली टारगेट डिस्काउंट में कन्वर्ट हो गया, वो रिबेट और डिस्काउंट में कवर नहीं हुआ, वो टारगेट में कवर्ड हो गया। इन माय ओपिनियन,
जी सर बोलिए सर।
इन माय ओपिनियन इन दैट केस आपको उस इंसेंटिव पर टीडीएस काटना होगा, चाहे उसको नाम हमने डिस्काउंट का दे दिया, क्योंकि सीबीडीटी जो गाइडलाइन है दैट इज एम्बिगुअस। हम हमारे क्लाइंट को अगर बोलते नहीं ये भी चूंकि 10% डिस्काउंट है और आपको डिस्काउंट पे टीडीएस नहीं काटना है, तो दिस विल नॉट बी गुड, एंड भविष्य में हमारे क्लाइंट को प्रॉब्लम फेस करना पड़ सकती है। सो वी शुड एडवाइज टू डिडक्ट टीडीएस, क्योंकि वो फ्रिज की जनरली जो डिस्काउंट और रिबेट माना जाता है वो बिल में डायरेक्ट होना चाहिए। ज्यादा से ज्यादा आपने मंथ एंड पे उसको डिस्काउंट दे दिया, अब ईयर एंड पे दिया तो वो भविष्य में डिस्प्यूट क्रिएट हो सकता है। सो वी विल नॉट go for shortcut, we will advise to deduct TDS.
सर दूसरा था मेरा एक क्वेश्चन जो डिस्काउंट्स के लिए इंसेंटिव के लिए है, कि जैसे मैं शैम्पू के साथ में शैम्पू के बेच देता हूँ डिस्काउंट में, वो तो सेम आइटम हो गया, लेकिन शैम्पू की जगह सोप देता हूँ मैं, उस
तो
केस में क्या
TDS कटेगा सर,
तब
क्योंकि
टीडीएस कट जाएगा ना?
सीबीडीटी ने स्पेसिफिकली एग्जांपल दे दिया और उन्होंने बोल दिया कि इस एग्जांपल को आप कुछ भी आगे परमुटेशन कॉम्बिनेशन या एक्स्ट्रापोलेशन कुछ भी नहीं करना आपको,
कुछ नहीं,
मतलब हम उसको एज्यूम नहीं कर सकते कि वस्तु के साथ हम वस्तु दे रहे हैं, स्टॉकिंग ट्रेड में से दे रहे हैं। आपने कहा सीबीडीटी ने हालांकि बोला है कि आप स्टॉकिंग ट्रेड में से कोई चीज दे रहे हो तो टीडीएस नहीं लगेगा, पर मेरा इंटरप्रिटेशन है कि चाहे वो साबुन स्टॉकिंग ट्रेड में से जा रहा है किंतु वो आप उसको सेल नहीं कर रहे, गिफ्ट दे रहे हैं, तो दैट इज नॉट ए सिमिलर आइटम, देयरफॉर दैट विल बी सिमिलर आइटम, अगर नहीं है तो इट इज सब्जेक्टेड टू टीडीएस।
अब सर दूसरा क्वेश्चन है कि कॉन्फ्रेंस एक्सपेंसेस के ऊपर में, कि कॉन्फ्रेंस एक्सपेंसेस आर ट्रीटेड एज ए बिजनेस एक्सपेंडिचर, लेकिन जनरली जहां पर भी कॉन्फ्रेंस होता है सर उसमें सब कुछ मिक्स्ड की हुई रहती है, कि आप कॉन्फ्रेंस भी कर रहे हो प्लस आप ऑनर भी कर रहे हो टू योर डीलर्स हु हैव परफॉर्म्ड एक्सीडिंगली वेल, तो उस केस में अगर दोनों चीज मिक्स हो तो हाउ कैन यू जस्टिफाई कि दिस इज अ बिजनेस एक्सपेंडिचर एंड, या फिर इसको कैसे अपोर्शन करें?
सर देखिए मेरी ओपिनियन में जो भी कॉन्फ्रेंस हम कर रहे हैं, ज्यादातर कॉन्फ्रेंस आप देखेंगे कि स्पेसिफिक डीलर्स के लिए होती है, आपके सारे डीलर्स के लिए कोई कॉन्फ्रेंस नहीं होती है। जनरली कंपनीज क्या करती है कि वो डीलर जिन्होंने 10 करोड़ का टारगेट अचीव किया ओनली उन्हीं को हम दुबई ले जाएंगे। ऐसा
वो
नहीं
तो
कि
सर वो तो एक तरह से समझिए कि ऑलरेडी लीजर टूर हो गया अगर दुबई ले जाते हैं तो।
हाँ मतलब नहीं, आपका मान लिया कोलकाता में भी अगर किसी ने कॉन्फ्रेंस किया और उन्होंने ओनली स्पेसिफिक डीलर्स को बुलाया, स्पेसिफिक डीलर्स मतलब वो जो इनका टर्नओवर 5 करोड़ से ऊपर हो गया उन्हीं को बुलाया, क्योंकि
नहीं सर,
डीलर
सपोज कीजिए कि मैं कलकत्ता में कॉन्फ्रेंस करता हूँ, मैं अगेन मेरे ख्याल से यहाँ पर इसको मैं दूसरे साथ इंटरप्रेट करता हूँ कि आज मेरी कलकत्ता में हेड ऑफिस है, मैं यहाँ से जाता हूँ दार्जिलिंग के अंदर में कॉन्फ्रेंस करता हूँ मैं, तो दार्जिलिंग के अंदर में जब कॉन्फ्रेंस करता हूँ तो नेचुरली इवन माय ऑफिस इज कलकत्ता अनलेस वी हैव द मल्टी लोकेशन डीलर्स इन वेस्ट बंगाल, ठीक है, देयर इज अ मल्टी लोकेशन डीलर्स, आई एम डूइंग इट इन द दार्जिलिंग, तो मैं पूरे के पूरे अपने वेस्टर्न से ईस्टर्न रीजन वेस्ट बंगाल के सारे डीलर्स को मैं इनवाइट करता हूँ, मैं उनको वहां पे ले जाता हूँ।
आपका माइक ऑन कर लीजिए, माइक ऑफ हो गया गलती से।
हाँ, मैं भले मुझे सबको नहीं ले जाना है, लेकिन मैं जो पंपलेट निकालता हूँ या इनविटेशन देता हूँ टू ऑल माय डीलर्स ऑफ वेस्ट बंगाल, 100 आदमी है, हर आदमी को बोलता हूँ कि आपको वहां पर जाना है, एंड बट आई टेक ओनली द सिलेक्टिव पर्संस देयर। ओके,
देखिए अगर ये डिपार्टमेंट जब कभी भी टीडीएस के ऊपर वेरिफिकेशन करने जाएगा तो डिपार्टमेंट आपसे एविडेंस मांगेगा कि आपने आपके सारे डीलर्स को इनविटेशन भेजा था। अगर आपने सारे डीलर्स को भेजा, कॉमन डीलर्स के लिए कॉन्फ्रेंस थी, तब तो इसको परक्विजिट नहीं माना जाएगा, इस पे टीडीएस नहीं कटेगा। अगर
लेकिन सर
आपके
अब वहां पर सपोज कीजिए, अगेन यहाँ पर क्वेश्चन मेरा है कि वहां पर मैं एक कॉन्फ्रेंस के साथ में 2 घंटे का प्रोग्राम करता हूँ जहां पर मैं प्राइज देता हूँ, या समझिए कि एग्जाम्पल जो उन्होंने काम किया उनको मैं ट्रीट करता हूँ मैं इन डिफरेंट वे, तो ये तो मेरा मिक्स हो गया ना, इट इज फॉर द बिजनेस
जैसे
एज
ही
वेल एज
मिक्स, हाँ सर, जैसे ही मिक्स हुआ तो सारा अमाउंट जो भी खर्च किया आपने वो हर डीलर के प्रति टीडीएस में कवर्ड हो जाएगा। तो
इसको
मान
फिर
करके चलिए
कैमोफ्लेज करना, अगर टीडीएस की लायबिलिटी से हटना तो हमको कैमोफ्लेज करना पड़ेगा यहाँ पर।
सर एक सेकंड वापस बोलिए।
अगर टीडीएस की लायबिलिटी से हटना तो इससे थोड़ा सा ट्रांजेक्शन को कैमोफ्लेज करना पड़ेगा।
हाँ, मतलब वी हैव टू बी वेरी वेरी केयरफुल। आपको बहुत ज्यादा सतर्कता बरतना पड़ेगी कि हम इससे कैसे बाहर आए, क्योंकि सीबीडीटी ने अपनी गाइडलाइन में एक शब्द डाल दिया कि दैट कॉन्फ्रेंस शुड नॉट बी फॉर स्पेसिफिक ग्रुप ऑफ डीलर्स। तो ऑलवेज कोई सी भी कॉन्फ्रेंस स्पेसिफिक ग्रुप के लिए होती है। कभी भी किसी डीलर ने साल भर में 5 लाख का माल बेचा और एक ने 5 करोड़ बेचा, दोनों को आप सेम ट्रीटमेंट नहीं दे सकते।
नहीं दे सकते।
एक को आप 5 लाख का माल बेचने वाले को ताज होटल में कॉन्फ्रेंस में नहीं बुलाएंगे।
अब सर इसमें एक इसको फर्दर थोड़ा सा एक्सपेंड करते हैं कि सपोज कीजिए मेरी वेस्ट बंगाल के अंदर में जितने डीलर्स हैं इनको मैं कॉन्फ्रेंस में कॉल करता हूँ मैं, लेकिन कॉन्फ्रेंस इनको यहाँ नहीं करके मैं गोवा ले जाता हूँ मैं। सो वेदर दिस विल बी ट्रीटेड एज ए लीडर।
देखिए, अब इसमें क्या देखा जाएगा सर, पहली चीज ये देखा जाएगा कि वेस्ट बंगाल के अलावा अन्य राज्यों में भी आपके डीलर्स हैं क्या। अगर आप
नहीं, मैं
आपके,
सिर्फ वेस्ट बंगाल के डीलर को ले जाता हूँ मैं,
हाँ, तो इसका मतलब आपके अदर स्टेट में डीलर तो हैं।
हाँ
तो
है, लेकिन
अब
मैं उनको
अदर
बुला नहीं
स्टेट
रहा
के
हूँ मैं।
डीलर्स को, तो आपने क्या करा, आपने जो कॉन्फ्रेंस करी उसमें आपने डिफरेंस कर दिया। आपने अदर स्टेट के डीलर को छोड़ दिया, ओनली वेस्ट बंगाल के डीलर को ले गए। तो ये चाहे आप कलकत्ता में करेंगे तो भी 100% टीडीएस में कवर्ड हो जाएगा, क्योंकि आपने स्पेसिफिक ग्रुप ऑफ डीलर को ही कवर्ड किया। तो आपको पूरे इंडिया के सारे डीलर कवर्ड करना पड़ेंगे, अदरवाइज ये कवर्ड हो जाएंगे। अब सेकंड क्वेश्चन ले लेते हैं। आपने कहा सर नहीं, मैंने तो पूरे इंडिया के सारे डीलर को गोवा बुलाया था। तो गोवा में अगर आपने वो जो कॉन्फ्रेंस उन्होंने स्पेसिफिक कुछ बताया है कि टू एजुकेट योर डीलर्स फॉर द मार्केटिंग ऑफ एनी प्रोडक्ट्स, अगर उसके लिए किया है, तो जिस दिन गोवा में मान लिया 23 अगस्त को आपका कॉन्फ्रेंस था, तो 23 अगस्त का तो जो भी खर्चा है वो आपका पर विजिट में कवर्ड नहीं होगा,
नेचुरली उसके अलावा जो परक्विजिट्स में आ
वो
जाएगा।
कवर्ड नहीं होगी।
दूसरी चीज एक और जो है सर, सेक्शन कहता है एनी पर्सन रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर प्रोवाइडिंग बेनिफिट्स टू ए रेसिडेंट arising out of business and profession by such resident। इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि जिसको प्रोविजन, जिसको बेनिफिट्स मिल रही है उसके लिए आउट ऑफ हिज बिजनेस कनेक्शंस मिल रहा है, लेकिन जो प्रोवाइडर है ही मे नॉट बी इन द बिजनेस।
यस, कोई बात नहीं ना, वो
ठीक है
बिजनेस
ना।
में नहीं है। देखिए, इसमें
हाँ,
कवर्ड कौन कौन है, 194 आर में एनी पर्सन इज कवर्ड। एनी
तो
पर्सन में प्राइवेट लिमिटेड कंपनी कवर्ड हो गई, एलएलपी हो गई,
सब हो गया, सब हो गया। वेदर आई एम डूइंग एनी बिजनेस और नॉट, आई एम कवर्ड।
गवर्नमेंट अंडरटेकिंग्स भी कवर्ड हो गई। पर इंडिविजुअल और एचयूएफ कब कवर्ड होंगे, जब इंडिविजुअल का बिजनेस 1 करोड़ से ज्यादा हो, या इंडिविजुअल एचयूएफ का बिजनेस 1 करोड़ से ज्यादा हो, या प्रोफेशनल का ग्रॉस रिसीव 50 लाख से ज्यादा हो, तो वो
तो
कवर्ड
एक तरह
होगा।
से उन्होंने कवर कर दिया कि देने वाला भी जो है बिजनेस ही होना चाहिए।
बिजनेस होना चाहिए यार, बिजनेस होना चाहिए,
अब
और इंडिविजुअल एचयूएफ 50 लाख से या 1 करोड़ से ज्यादा है तो कवर।
इसमें सर अब जैसे देखिए अगेन देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन ऑफ डबल टैक्सेशन rather the multiplicity of the direction of TDS, like manufacturer is giving to their wholesaler, wholesaler is passing on to the retailers। तो यहाँ भी TDS कट रहा है, वहां भी TDS कट रहा है, खाली रिटेलर जो वो TDS नहीं काट रहा है।
यस, बिल्कुल सही बात है
तो
कि
इट
मान लिया
बिकम्स अ बिट प्रॉब्लमेटिक।
बड़ी कंपनी ने 10 करोड़ रुपए के डायरी कैलेंडर अपने डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर को भेजे, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर आगे उसको होलसेलर को भेजेगा, होलसेलर रिटेलर को, रिटेलर कंज्यूमर को। तो गवर्नमेंट को 10 करोड़ के डायरी कैलेंडर के ऊपर 30% ईडीएस मिलेगा, जबकि मिलना चाहिए 10%।
10%।
तो गवर्नमेंट, और 10% में 30% के अंदर जिन लोगों को मिला उसकी इनकम पर टीडीएस होना चाहिए, इनकम है ही नहीं तो भी टीडीएस हो गया।
TDS करना पड़ा।
उनका 30% पैसा, 10% पैसा बिना बात के ब्लॉक हो गया।
सर सबसे वर्स्ट पार्ट क्या है ना कि यहाँ पर आपके लोअर डिडक्शन ऑफ टैक्स एट सोर्स का भी प्रोविजन नहीं है 197 के अंदर में।
हाँ, नहीं है, नहीं है।
एंड मल्टीप्लिसिटी हो गई है टैक्सेशन की, हमारा ब्लॉक पैसा हो जाता है। तो इसमें एक चीज मैं समझना चाहूंगा सर, आज के दिन में जितने भी बिजनेस, क्योंकि ये खासकर एफएमसीजी एंड फार्मा कंपनीज को सबसे ज्यादा हिट कर रहा है, तो हाउ दे आर मतलब रीस्ट्रक्चरिंग देयर थिंग्स।
सर देखिए, इसमें एक ही रास्ता रहेगा, ओनली एक रास्ता रहेगा कि टीडीएस शुड बी डिडक्टेड ऑन द थिंग विच इज इन द फॉर्म ऑफ काइंड और कैश एंड काइंड। केवल कैश में है उस पर टीडीएस नहीं होना चाहिए।
नहीं, लेकिन वो तो हो रहा है ना अभी तो।
देखिए, इन काइंड में भी टीडीएस होना चाहिए। इन काइंड पे टीडीएस उस चीज पे होना चाहिए जो पाने वाले के हाथ में इनकम है। अगर किसी कंपनी ने अपने डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर को सोने के सिक्के गिफ्ट में दिए, और वो कंपनी ने ये नहीं बोला कि ये सोने के सिक्के आगे आप होलसेलर को पास ऑन करो, आगे आप कंज्यूमर को पास ऑन करो, रिटेलर को पास ऑन करो, ऐसा नहीं बोला, तो वो डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर की इनकम हो गई, उस पर टीडीएस होना वाजिब है। पर कंपनी ने बोल दिया कि ये सोने के सिक्के आपको एंड यूजर को, कस्टमर को पास ऑन करना है, जब सोने का सिक्का आगे पास ऑन करना है तो सोने के सिक्के पर टीडीएस नहीं होना चाहिए। तो ये जो सीबीडीटी की गाइडलाइन है इसको हाई कोर्ट में रिट पिटीशन के द्वारा चैलेंज करना होगा, ताकि अगर किसी के हाथ में ये इनकम नहीं है तो उस पर टीडीएस नहीं होना चाहिए, बिकॉज इट इज अगेंस्ट द सेक्शन 4 सबसेक्शन 1 एंड अगेंस्ट द सेक्शन 4 सबसेक्शन 2। जो चार्ज ऑफ टैक्स है उसके अगेंस्ट में हो गया। डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर को डायरी कैलेंडर अपने पास नहीं रखना, वो तो एंड यूजर के पास जाएंगे, तो उसपे वो इनकम ही नहीं है तो टीडीएस कैसे कटेगा? तो सेक्शन 4 के अगेंस्ट में हो गया। टीडीएस के जितने प्रोविजन आप देखेंगे, सेक्शन 194A, 194C, 194H, 194J, हर जगह लिखा है TDS has to be deducted on income comprised therein on any sum of income, any sum of income। तो 194R में इनकम शब्द ही नहीं है और सीबीडीटी ने और उसको ज्यादा चेंज कर दिया। तो सीबीडीटी की गाइडलाइन को रिट पिटीशन के द्वारा चैलेंज करना, दिस इज द ओनली वे आउट।
एक सर इसमें और एक बहुत फनी चीज है, मतलब फनी मींस थोड़ा सा अगेन बिग प्रॉब्लमेटिक चीज है, जो पेमेंट ऑफ टैक्स जो है आज, वेदर व्हेन द बेनिफिट इज इन कैश और इन काइंड और पार्टिंग कैश इन काइंड, द provider has to ensure that the tax is paid in advance, and that tax can be paid either by the provider also, and when it can be paid by way of advance tax by the ultimate recipient also। अब हाँ, recipient को कैसे पता चलेगा कि कितनी वैल्यू की मुझे मिल रही है, and what is the valuation, how he is going to pay the advance tax।
ये बहुत
so this is a very very practical problem आती है।
अब क्या होगा कि सर इसकी जो कंपनीज की जो प्राइवेसी थी वो खत्म हो जाएगी। कंपनीज अभी तक बोलती थी कि सर हमने आपको ये 10,000 रुपए का ब्रीफ केस गिफ्ट में दिया है। अब कंपनीज को एक्यूरेटली ये बताना पड़ेगा कि साहब इस पे एमआरपी तो 10,000 लिखा पर एक्चुअली ये 2,000 का है, तो इस 2,000 के अनुसार ही आपको एडवांस टैक्स जमा करना है। तो नाउ दे विल हैव टू फेयर वैल्यूएशन होना चाहिए। सीबीडीटी ने गाइडलाइन में उसके वैल्यूएशन का सिस्टम बताया कि जितने रुपए में आपने खरीदा उतने रुपए पे टीडीएस काटना है, तो जो एमआरपी उस पे नहीं कटेगा। तो अब रिटेलर या जो भी होलसेलर है, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर है, उसको पता पड़ेगा कि कंपनी ने हमको 2,000 का ब्रीफ केस गिफ्ट में दिया जबकि इस पे एमआरपी 10,000 की लिखी हुई है। सो प्राइवेसी चली जाएगी और ओनली जो कॉस्ट प्राइस है उसी पर टीडीएस डिडक्शन होगा।
और कुछ क्वेरी है क्या?
नहीं, चैट बॉक्स में तो कुछ नहीं है और ऐसे में
request any participant if there any query, please raise the query to our learned speaker so that he can। मैं तो सर थोड़ा बहुत पढ़ कर लिया, लेकिन मेरे को क्वेरी और बनानी थी, बट आई कुड नॉट फाइंड द टाइम टू वेरी फ्रैंक। अदरवाइज इसमें ये ऐसी चीज है ना, ये सेक्शन ऐसी चीज है विच इज आउट ऑफ, इट विल कम आउट ऑफ इमेजिनेशन। बात है, आप इमेजिन करते रहिए, आपके नई क्वेरी बनते जाएंगे।
यस यस बिल्कुल,
क्योंकि एक्ट मोस्ट फ्लूइड प्रोविजन सर, क्योंकि बाकी जगह देखते हैं सब जगह डिफाइंड है। सैलरी इन एक्सेस विच इज डिफाइंड, इंटरेस्ट इज डिफाइंड, कॉन्ट्रैक्टर पेमेंट इज डिफाइंड। यहाँ पर अमाउंट जो है ना दे कुछ डिफाइंड नहीं है, खाली दो ही चीज डिफाइंड है कि रेट ऑफ टैक्स 20,000 एंड नीचे में जो चीज लिखी हुई है दो चीज की किसके ऊपर एप्लीकेबल है, जिसको नहीं काटना है।
टीडीएस का सबसे खराब वो खतरनाक प्रोविजन सर यही वाला प्रोविजन है, जो सबसे टिपिकल प्रोविजन ही ये प्रोविजन है, बहुत
टिपिकल प्रोविजन। बस एक अच्छा काम किया है कि डिसअलाउंस नहीं है, लेकिन 1 साल के लिए है, मेरे ख्याल से अगले साल ये भी हट जाएगा।
हाँ
बिकॉज आई थिंक इन्होंने हेस्ट में बनाया इसको और शायद इनको पता नहीं चला है कि यहाँ पर उन्होंने डिसअलाउंस नहीं किया। बट सर अगेन ये जो टैक्स ऑडिट के अंदर में जो आज हम लोग करते हैं, अगेन क्वेश्चन कि टैक्स ऑडिट के अंदर में तो मुझे इसकी रिपोर्टिंग करनी पड़ेगी, तो एज एन ऑडिटर आपका तो काम बहुत बढ़ जाएगा। हाउ डू यू टेक इट, किसको जज करें?
इसमें प्रैक्टिकल प्रॉब्लम्स भी सर बहुत सारी आने वाली हैं। आप देखिए कि जैसे उन्होंने बोला कि आप अपने सारे डीलर्स को गोवा ले गए, उनका टीडीएस आपको पहले काटना है, बेनिफिट प्रोवाइड करना है। अब गोवा जाने में वहाँ कितना खर्चा होगा, हमारे जिन जिन लोगों को हमने कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स दिए उन सबके बिल तो बाद में आएंगे, कई बार हमने उनको एडवांस पेमेंट भी नहीं किया, तो अब इनका टीडीएस एडवांस में कैसे काटेंगे? बेनिफिट प्रोवाइड हो गया उसके बाद कटेगा, तो हमारे को उसका सेक्शन 201 का ब्याज भी लग सकता है फ्यूचर में, क्योंकि हम 2 महीने बाद काटेंगे। डेट ऑफ प्रोवाइडिंग बेनिफिट तो पुरानी आएगी, 2 महीने पुरानी, तो 2 महीने का ब्याज बिना बात का लग जाएगा। सो देयर आर प्रैक्टिकल डिफिकल्टीज आल्सो, जिसको कि सीबीडीटी ने अपनी गाइडलाइन में कुछ
नहीं, वो तो उन्होंने नहीं किया है। एन ऑडिटर भी हमको जो टैक्स ऑडिट रिपोर्ट के अंदर में जब इसको देना पड़ेगा, तो ये तो बहुत जजमेंटल चीजें हैं ना सर इसमें। तो दिस इज नथिंग विच वी आज मैं कुछ बोलूं आप कुछ बोले दोनों वाली बात है। ये तो है नहीं कि इंटरेस्ट आपने 20,000 रुपए दिया, टीडीएस नहीं काटा है, या तो मैं 20,000 वैल्यूएशन करूंगा, आप 40,000 करोगे, वैसी वाली बातें हो गई है।
हाँ,
Because
हर
there
चीज
is
का
one
वैल्यूएशन भी
valuation
चेक
का,
करना
हाँ,
होगा,
चेक करना
क्योंकि
पड़ेगा।
यस कि हमने जो मान लिया ब्रीफ केस डीलर्स को दिए, उस ब्रीफ केस के परचेज बिल से वेरीफाई करना पड़ेगा इसको कितने ब्रीफ केस दिए हैं, उसका वैल्यूएशन सही हुआ है नहीं हुआ, और
सही
उसने
बात
उतने
है।
ब्रीफ केस पे फिर उसका डिक्लेरेशन चेक करना पड़ेगा। अगर जिसको ब्रीफ केस गिफ्ट में मिले, उसको 100 ब्रीफ केस मिले, उस पर उसने एडवांस टैक्स चालान के रूप में भर दिया, तो उसका एडवांस टैक्स चालान और डिक्लेरेशन हमको चेक करना पड़ेगा। टीडीएस में एडवांस टैक्स का ये प्रोविजन पहली बार आ गया,
पहली बार आया।
26 क्यू में पहली बार एडवांस टैक्स का कॉलम आ गया है। अब
पहली
हमको एडवांस टैक्स, अब आप देखिए कि आपने हर 10 दिन में डीलर को ब्रीफ केस भेज रहे हो आप, हर 10 दिन में उससे हर बार चालान भरवाना पड़ेगा।
बार।
पहले चालान भरवाना, फिर आपका ब्रीफ केस का डिस्पैच, गुड्स डिस्पैच होगा, पहले चालान आएगा फिर गुड्स डिस्पैच होगा।
ये बहुत मतलब
तो हजारों लाखों हजारों एडवांस टैक्स के चालान की एंट्रीज बड़े कॉर्पोरेट्स को करना होगी। प्रैक्टिकल प्रॉब्लम आर गोइंग टू हैपन।
चलो विष्णु, अब कुछ और क्वेरी है तो कर लो, अदरवाइज ऑफर द वोट ऑफ थैंक्स टू आवर लर्नड स्पीकर।
Thank you, CA Rajesh Mehta ji, for giving such a wonderful speech on the provisions of section 194R of the Income Tax Act. You have cleared most of our doubts and answered all the questions very well. But I think regarding these two things, for this deduction of TDS on goods given to distributor for ultimate distribution to retailers, to customers, and second is this reimbursement of expenses. This TDS deduction part should be reconsidered, in my opinion. As you told, writ petition should be filed, or at least if government wants to keep the track on this, then at least rate should be reduced to say 0.1% or something like that. So at least money is not blocked.
Correct.
And thanks a lot for your wonderful deliberation, and we are looking forward for many more meetings with you, sir.
Sir, thank you all, and thanks to the BBD
BBD Study Circle
Study Circle for inviting me. Thank you all.
Thanks a lot. Bye.